I'm gonna make a few videos called like about coming back to the place when you get lost in it. And I felt lost a little bit this morning, but I want to come back to this video every time I get lost. Look, I'm gonna show you why. So I'm trading to this morning, back testing. I'm like, I'm getting decent results, but most of it's just like win one, lose one, win one, lose one. The thing's not going anywhere in it. And there was a point where I realised, as I was writing this one, I was like, I'm, I was like, I don't know, I'm not focusing on drawing liquidity right now. And I remember the feeling. I was like, okay, fucking hell, I need to actually focus on what I'm doing right now. And then I thought to myself, if I can figure out the next drawing liquidity, and this isn't biased, drawing liquidity is not biased. Like, for example, this low down here was an idea of a higher time frame drawing liquidity, but the way I trade and the way I get good trades is knowing the next immediate drawing liquidity, and that's where the skill is. So, for example, I'm like playing price out, and I'm like, I realise, yeah, I need to get on this. Look, and my whole thingy changes. I'm like, okay, where are we? So I'm like looking on the one. I'm like, okay, nothing. I'm seeing that price has inverted this. So on the one, it says to me that we might be going higher, right? Daily we got nothing really. We took a high, so I'm going back to the 4 hour. 4 hour we got nothing except the idea of some lows. Like, it's not enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna frame the trade towards them lows. It's just not enough. It's the beginning of enough, but it's not. And then again here, look, I noticed that low, 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 higher, low, higher, low. These are just all the concepts that I've been learning anyway, but it's just adding them all together and being like, okay, this must be where we're going next. So next, I'm looking. We've got PD arrays. I'm just looking for whatever PD arrays. So for example, here to the right, we've inverted that. So you'd think that we're going higher to there, but we've got a PD array here that we've inverted there. So it's like, okay, are we going lower or are we going higher? Then I see there's another fair value gap here, and we've just tapped into that, came down, but now we're pushing more towards it. So I'm like, okay, wonder why that is. Like, sure, maybe that high is the next draw on liquidity. And then it's again another thing. Like, we're building down from the time frames. We're just like going lower and lower and saying, okay, that one says this. What's the next one saying? So like, okay, we're on a 15-minute here. There's nothing for me to look at here. So I'm like, I move on, drop to the 5. Then we've got a fair value gap here. We respected. Now we've just disrespected it. But look, we're in the middle of 2 gaps. So we've got one here that's holding, and this one looking like it might get inverted, but it hasn't been inverted yet. So then I realised, like, price is 803, so we just need another minute to wait for that to invert. And it doesn't invert, so I'm like, okay, cool, it's still not a safe move. Like, I don't know where the next draw is yet. Then it inverts, so I'm like, okay, cool, everything lines up now. On the lower time frames, the bullish fair value gaps seem to be holding, or at least in this leg they're holding, and we're inverting everything else. So it's like, okay, cool, now I've got an idea of where the draw is going to be, because I zoom back out now. I'm remembering, like, I was targeting that high, but then once that gets disrespected, it's like, okay, where's next? It's got to be that next high. And then now comes in all the other stuff. So now we've got a draw in liquidity. Then it's like, okay, now I'm waiting for a good trade. It's not just it's not just trying to find good setups and stuff like that. You have to have the target, otherwise it's not a good setup. So here, like, I'm just playing price out. It would have been annoying really to find that draw and then it just goes and gets hit straight away, but sometimes that's just what happens, isn't it? So I'm playing price out. Okay, I did hit. So I'm like, okay, got to reassess. Where's next? If that one got tough, where's going to be next? There. because there's no other PDRA stopping me. Look, I jump up back to the 30 minute, looking like we're about to invert that. There's nothing to stop that high now. So it's the same thing, it's just like, okay, play price out. Can we get a better price? And then it was more like this now, like, look, there was no real AMD, there was no real setup. There was no real, there wasn't a model for me. But knowing that that's the next draw, all you have to do at that point is just be patient and wait for a discounted, a really good price, like a clear amount of liquidity to be taken, and then a reason that we're going higher, which that was. Look, as soon as that went, play price out a little, I thought maybe we'd get a cheaper price, but it just lingered there for a bit, so I was like, okay, cool, let's go. Luckily I jumped in there, because then it just shot off. But all of that trade was framed around immediate drawing liquidity, where's going to be next. And that's not just like 1 minute highs and lows, because I don't think 1 minute highs and lows are significant enough to be aiming for. But having said that, I'm going to go back to the chart and see if we can just find another trade real quick using that concept and framing it based off the next draw on liquidity, not forcing it anywhere else. So 9 o'clock. You know, we could do this at any point realistically. So look at start from the daily again. Daily draw liquidity is there. It's just about working down from every time frame. Draw liquidity is there on the daily. We could come lower, but for now the draw liquidity is there. 4 hour. Again, nothing. We could come lower. We really could come lower, but for now the draw liquidity is there. Same here. Draw liquidity should be there because we've inverted that. Oh wait, this is exactly the same piece of price action, but fuck it. This could change. Like, the thing is, these lows could come and get taken. We are quite high in the range, so we don't fully know. All we can do is just target the low hanging fruit, but the best thing to do, target the low hanging fruit on the higher time frames and then drop to the low ones and be like, okay, can I get in before we hit that? Because look, if you look, that looks so obvious that it's the next one. But the further you zoom out, the more it becomes less obvious. So okay, look, we dropped all the way down. Gonna drop to the 1 minute here. Drawing liquidity should be that high. And then it's just waiting patiently to see if there's even an opportunity that we can get in on it, or a good price that we can get in on it. So for example, now this is looking good because we're pulling back. We're now pulling back. 15 minutes closed the gap. It didn't make a fair value gap, but it closed it. And then again, look, we're right by this 5 minute gap. So all we have to do now is just wait for how it reacts in that gap. And just being patient. That could invert now. It does. So here we've got that get disrespected. Accumulating. Got an IFG here. Personally, I feel like it still could come lower. We have respected that 1 minute gap. I do feel like this could come lower. So I don't know. Let's say the stuff was there, just for argument's sake, just to make sure that the trade hits. See, it's coming lower. But if the draw on liquidity is correct, it shouldn't come lower than where the stop loss is. I'm gonna tap into that 5-minute gap. Let's forget that trade now. Okay, we can't really forget a trade, but the point is like framing the trade around the draw on liquidity, and look here now. Look how much we're accumulating. Like really, that is like a go time candle, man. I know it's not an IFVG and that, but the amount we've accumulated there and then swept like that just should go right now. Okay, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm losing. But this is where I'm not being patient with the rest of the plan. Like realistically, both things need to go hand in hand. For example, here now that should go because we've accumulated all here. Now we swept it with an IFVG. Now it should be go time. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. And then you've got all this target here, like 1 hour, whatever. See, even me doing this video has just helped realistically, because it's not just about having one concept. It's not just saying, okay, I'm doing my inverse fair value gap model and taking any inverse fair value gap, because that it's not good enough. It's not about just having a draw on liquidity and saying, I know what draw on liquidity is and I'm just going to take that. It's not good enough. It's like, okay, everything has to line up. Have we took enough liquidity on the opposite side before it's time to go? Yes or no? And then again, like the same thing here. Look, this happened in a macro. All of that hit within the macro, and then, okay, what was the reason why we bounced back? We failed to break through that. And then, yeah, you could just reassess the bias again. Look, we're holding that. Okay, maybe we're looking like we might sell now, because we should have been going higher after that. Did we invert that? For argument's sake, you could say yes. And then it's just like, okay, cool, next one we got a fair value gap there. I was going to say, does it hold? But clearly it doesn't. So now the draw should be higher again now. The draw should continue to be that high now, because we've inverted that. We took a lot of liquidity, inverted that, we just made it. We're coming up with some power. The next draw should be higher. Okay, it's not. But it's just about reassessing the bias and then taking the trades that make sense once everything has been once it all lines up. We got drawn liquidity, then we got our strategy. Does it line up?